Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. It's a girl Rita Stitches and Style. So on today's video I'll be teaching you guys how to cut senator top for male. So stay tuned, make sure you watch the video to the end. If there's any question, feel free to drop it in the comment section. I'll be there to reply to you all. Don't forget to like, and most importantly, click on the subscribe button. So let's get right into it. So I've folded my fabric using the largest part of my client's measurement, and the lines you can see me indicating on this fabric is actually the base lines that indicates the part that I need for this work and from the part I don't need. For instance, this is actually the baseline of this fabric and I don't want it to be visible or seen in my work, so I have to take it out, same as these rough edges as well. So feel free to do same just to get a proper and a very neat finishing. So first thing first is to actually bring out your allowances. So I'm going to bring out my 4 inches allowance at the base, just as you see me do. This 4 inches is actually my allowance for the length of this senator male top I'm doing. So after indicating your 4 inches allowance, you use a straight rule to mark it down like you see me do. Afterwards, determine the length of your top. So for me, I'm using length 35 for my client. I'm using length 35 for my client. So you indicate the length. Remember, the length of, while indicating the length of your top, make sure you indicate it from that 4 inches, not from the main base of the fabric. From the 4 inches allowance you marked, that's where you start to indicate the length of your fabric, the length of your outfit. Afterwards, you use a straight ruler and maintain a straight line. Now this becomes a shoulder and this becomes a base, and here is the 4 inches allowance that have been added. So the next thing first to do is to determine your chest line, which is also known as the armhole line. Now the question is, how do we get the armhole line? The armhole line is gotten in 2 ways: either the shoulder divided by 2 or the round chest of the person divided by 4, whichever one that works for the person, depending on the size of your client you use. So for me, I'll be making use of 11 inches because I've already done my calculation and I'm getting 11 inches. So that's what I'll be using for the armhole line of my client, which is also considered as the chest line. So I'm going to indicate my 11 inches from my shoulder line. Afterwards, I'm going to use a straight ruler to get a straight line, and that becomes a chest or armhole line. So ensure to always use a straight ruler to keep your work neat and firm. The next thing you want to check is the shoulder measurement. Now for my client, his shoulder measurement is 20, divided by 2 is 10, plus half inches, that's plus 0.5 inches that will be used to attach the sleeve while sewing. Now this is our 10.5. You then take it down by 2.5 inches for shoulder slope. Now to be sure what I just did I'm correct, I'm going to place my tape here to ensure that I got the exact 2.5 inches allowance. Afterwards, you use your straight rule to get this straight and neat, just to give it this cross indication. Now this becomes our shoulder slope. Remember, I came down by 2.5 inches. From here, the next thing I want to create is the armhole line, which will be a guide for me to get my armhole curve. Now, to get my armhole line, I'm getting 10. Instead of using this 10 I'm getting here, I'll decide to use 9.5 because I don't want the line to actually be in a straight form. I want it to be in a slanted form. So what I will do is to measure the distance between here to here. Whatever I have, I reduce 0.5 inches and then I mark. I'm going to connect my lines like so. The next thing to do is to create your armhole curve. Now, for those that might want to use a freehand, ensure that the space between this line inward is 0.5. But if you know you are not too conversant with freehand sketching, I advise you use the proper rule made for it. Now, note that before determining this curve rule, what you should do before doing this is actually to impute the chest measurement properly. That will be like a guide to help you know where this curve will actually end. So now, like I said before, my client chest is 50 divided by 4 is giving me 12.5. You indicate the 12.5 here plus 1.5 inches sewing allowance. You can choose to use 1, you can choose to use 2, but I will be using 1.5. So even without doing this, I was able to determine where my curve will end. But for the sake of those that are not conversant with this, I will advise you impute your chest measurement first with its allowance before determining this curve. It helps you to know where this curve should or will stop. To determine or to know the width or depth of a client's neck measurement, what you need to do is to divide the round neck by 6. For my client, his round neck is 19, so I'll be doing 19 divided by 6. It's giving me 3.1 minus 0.3. That's 2.8. This now becomes the wideness of my client's neck measurement, 2.8. So I'm going to indicate the 2.8 at this point. Now, to determine the depth of this outfit, this 2.8 figure that I got, I'm going to add 0.5 to determine the depth of this outfit. Now, if I should add 0.5, which is also known as half, to that figure, I'll be getting 3.3. This becomes the depth of my client outfit. So I'm only trying to connect this line to be like a guide for me to be able to give a curve on the neck part. So you want to do it this way and then connect this line like so. Before doing the curve, you want to connect the wideness of your neck. You want to connect that from that point down to the point where you slanted for your shoulder. The next thing is to use your pattern master to curve for your neck. So please be mindful and be careful not to keep your ruler this straight. The reason is because if you should place it like this, it makes this bone at the neck bone to be very visible, which is not actually proper for your work. So what you want to do is to place your rule in an oval shape. Also, after sewing and doing the fitting aspects, your client's neck bone won't be visible. That's the essence of this. You connect, and that's that for this part. So the next and the last thing to do before cutting is from this your 4 inches allowance, you come up by 6 or 7 inches depending on the height of your client or the length of the top you are making. You come up by 6 or 7 inches. So for me, I will be coming up by 6 inches because my top length is not that long, it's just 35 inches, so 6 inches will do for me. And at this point, we've come to the end of this tutorial. Please feel free to drop your question in the comment section. I'll definitely be there to reply you. Don't forget to like. Most importantly, click on the subscribe button. Ensure that you follow us and watch all of our step-by-step videos, most especially the sewing aspect of it. Very important. That's why you need to click on the notification button so as to get alert whenever we post videos. We'll get right into the cutting